The next Marlon Brando? The next Banksy? Or persona non grata? And for good reason? Shia LaBeouf used to be the next big thing. Here's what happened next. Shia LaBeouf began his acting career in his tween years. His earliest roles were mostly in small, largely forgotten family films in the late 90s, like The Christmas Path and Breakfast with Einstein. He found more success when he moved into television with one-off appearances on notable shows like ER, Freaks and Geeks, and The X-Files.
Which one's your favorite?
It used to be basketball, but now the Bulls suck, so I think maybe baseball.
His real breakthrough came with his starring role on the Disney Channel series Even Stevens, which ran for 3 seasons and concluded with a movie spin-off.
That sludging machine shouldn't be sitting in some junkyard rusting away. It should be in my room, providing me with satisfying icy beverages around the clock.
After his Disney tenure came to an end, LaBeouf spent a little longer working in family-friendly spaces, as with his starring vocal role in the Sony animated film Surf's Up. However, it wouldn't be much longer before LaBeouf transitioned away from his child actor image into darker and more serious roles. As his career developed, LaBeouf went out of his way to choose challenging roles at the polar opposite end of the spectrum from the comedic roles he was first known for. But before he went down the dark indie route, he first landed in the blockbuster sphere. Titles like Transformers and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull pushed him as a new leading man for big-budget, spectacle-driven films. While their reception was often rocky, they were typically extremely successful at the box office. His string of blockbuster hits gave LaBeouf the cachet in Hollywood to pick and choose whatever roles he wanted.
I'm ready. Don't give these pigs a thing.
After several years as a mainstream leading man, LaBeouf made a major pivot. He made the bold decision to step away from the highly lucrative Transformers franchise and leave blockbusters in general behind. From 2012 onward, LaBeouf's filmography has been solely focused on smaller projects. After some recent scandals, a couple of duds, and a handful of years without any major titles released, some might have thought LaBeouf's acting career was over. In reality, LaBeouf's career is still in perfectly fine shape. Even though he was fired from the recent Don't Worry Darling, he claims he quit. His dry spell will be coming to an end with the release of movies like Assassination and Megalopolis from David Mamet and Francis Ford Coppola, respectively. More than any other celebrity in recent memory, LaBeouf has become inextricably linked to the act of plagiarism. He may have begun earlier, but the first time LaBeouf was caught in the act was in 2012, when a couple of his comic books were found to include lines stolen from authors like Charles Bukowski. In response to being called out, he stole the apology Tiger Woods had given after his cheating scandal. After he made a sudden departure from a Broadway play he was performing in alongside Alec Baldwin in 2013, his personal apology to his co-star was later revealed to be plagiarized from an Esquire magazine piece titled What is a Man? When confronted for stealing from the article, he responded by stealing the words of David Mamet. LaBeouf's acts of plagiarism grew bolder over time. He released a 12-minute short film titled HowardCantor.com. Fans of the short comic, Justin M. Damiano, immediately noticed that HowardCantor.com seemed an awful lot like a direct adaptation of the source material. The problem was that LaBeouf did not acquire the rights to the story, nor did he credit the comic's creator, Daniel Clowes, despite lifting the plot, themes, and dialogue wholesale. Unsurprisingly, LaBeouf plagiarized his apology to Clowes in an insincere move that seemed to mock the idea that he had anything to be sorry for. Perhaps LaBeouf's most head-turning stunt was when he showed up on a red carpet with his face hidden beneath a paper bag, bearing the words, "I am not famous anymore." The incident happened at the Berlin International Film Festival in 2014, while LaBeouf was there accompanying his performance in Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac Volume 1. He had been tweeting the same words, "I am not famous anymore," over and over again for nearly a month leading up to the event. At the same film festival, LaBeouf also made a spectacle of himself during a group press conference with other members of the Nymphomaniac cast and crew. After LaBeouf was asked his first question, he gave the seemingly nonsensical response, "When the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much." He then left the press conference altogether, catching his fellow panelists off guard. Given his history of plagiarism, it might not come as a surprise to learn that this quote about seagulls and sardines does not originate with LaBeouf. Instead, the quote comes from French football player Eric Cantona, who also confused people when he gave the same strange answer during a press conference before leaving abruptly. Many of LaBeouf's wildest antics were actually carried out as acts of performance art. Even though he was the face of all these performances, he wasn't the only person orchestrating them behind the scenes. At some point around 2014, LaBeouf teamed up with artist Luke Turner, Sadi Runco, and the trio was responsible for conceiving and executing all of his performance art stunts. They collaborated on his I Am Not Famous Anymore red carpet stunt, before taking the same concept a step further with a piece they called #IAMSORRY. A similar paper bag was placed over LaBeouf's head, and he installed himself as an art exhibit in LA's Cohen Gallery. The full performance lasted for 5 days, during which time LaBeouf lived inside the gallery. Visitors to the gallery were let into the room housing LaBeouf one at a time while he sat in silence. The performance took a dark turn when one visitor allegedly crossed the line between art and crime. Speaking to Dazed, LaBeouf claimed that a woman whipped his legs for 10 minutes and then sexually assaulted him. The incident was corroborated by Turner and Runco. LaBeouf claims to have remained in character for the rest of the performance, even as his girlfriend visited him after the news of the disturbing incident reached her.
And I think you need a little bit of a sprinkle of insanity to be a good artist.
As LaBeouf worked to shed the stigma associated with child actors, he became known as a hardcore method actor in his adulthood. Similar to how other prominent method actors have taken things too far on occasion, LaBeouf pushed many boundaries while making 2014's Fury. In an interview originally published in British GQ, LaBeouf's co-star Logan Lerman revealed that the cuts on LaBeouf's face throughout the movie were not makeup. He even caused the wounds right in front of Lerman without warning, with Lerman saying he takes out a knife and cuts his face. For the whole movie, he kept opening these cuts on his face. That's all real. But LaBeouf's bodily transformation for the role didn't end there. He took things even further by getting a tooth removed. LaBeouf told Extra that it wasn't a tough decision to have a tooth pulled, since it helped him get into character. After having trouble finding a dentist willing to yank out a healthy tooth, LaBeouf told Jimmy Kimmel, "So I got it done by some guy in Reseda next to a Radio Shack." LaBeouf, Turner, and Runco continued creating performance art pieces into 2015. One 30-minute piece titled #Introductions became better known for the 1-minute-long excerpt, Just Do It, which went mega viral as a motivational meme. That same year, LaBeouf also made #AllMyMovies. The performance lasted for 72 straight hours, the entirety of which was live-streamed. The performance involved LaBeouf watching every movie he ever made from his latest, Man Down, back to his first, Breakfast with Einstein, while a camera recorded his unfiltered reactions, whether they be positive or negative, or even falling asleep. Both Introductions and All My Movies were far less confrontational, incendiary, and boundary-pushing than LaBeouf's 2014 performance art pieces, and they provided a bit more to chew on and analyze artistically as well. It seemed the trio of performance artists were finding a suitable groove for their creative works, but LaBeouf soon pivoted in a new direction and wound up in hot water again. LaBeouf made his feature-length screenwriting debut in 2019 with Honey Boy. The year before the film was made and released, LaBeouf did something with his script that a Hollywood star should never do. He entered it in a screenplay contest designed for emerging screenwriters. LaBeouf entered his script for Honey Boy into the Page International Screenwriting Awards, which is a competition specifically designed for outsiders and newcomers to the film industry who lack professional connections. Honey Boy made it to the quarterfinals, which landed both LaBeouf and the competition itself in hot water with the screenwriting community for allowing him to compete. Despite the outrage, LaBeouf did it again with his next screenplay, Minor Modifications, which has not been produced yet, as of the making of this video. He entered the script in the Sun Valley Film Festival screenplay competition, and this time, he won the top prize. It is important to note that the top prize was $1,000, mentoring, and meetings with film industry professionals. These benefits would mean a great deal to actual emerging screenwriters, while they would mean absolutely nothing to someone as established and connected as Shia LaBeouf, other than, perhaps, a boost to his ego. The controversies surrounding Honey Boy were not limited to its screenplay contest participation alone. The film was a major critical success and took home prizes from many film festivals. The plot about a child actor dealing with his abusive father was said to be based on LaBeouf's childhood, with LaBeouf playing his own father in the film.
She's filling your head full of fear. I don't ever do that, do I? Huh? I pump you full of strength.
LaBeouf's deeply personal, autobiographical connection to the story was a point highlighted in countless glowing reviews of the film. But it was all a lie. After touting the film as an autobiographical true story for years, LaBeouf admitted to making it all up in 2022. The confession came on the podcast Real Ones, hosted by Jon Bernthal. Despite painting his father as horrible and abusive, LaBeouf told Bernthal, "My dad was so loving to me my whole life. He was always there. My dad never hit me. Never. He spanked me once, one time. And the story that gets painted in Honey Boy is this dude is abusing his kid all the time. I wronged him." LaBeouf also admitted to sending his father an altered script that had all of the abuse taken out in order to manipulate him into giving his permission to make the movie about him.
And I turned the knob up on certain that wasn't real.
While dating Talia Burnett, better known by her stage name FKA Twigs, LaBeouf reportedly subjected her to what the New York Times called a relentless abusive relationship. The two met while filming Honey Boy in 2018 and were together until she built up the courage to escape the following year. FKA Twigs ended up suing LaBeouf, and as of the making of this video, the trial has been delayed to late fall 2023. His alleged instances of emotional, mental, sexual, and physical abuse included behavior like threatening to crash their car, choking her in her sleep, physically and sexually assaulting her on multiple occasions, intentionally giving her an STD without her knowledge, and more.
He was threatening to crash the car unless I said I loved him. And
after hearing FKA Twigs' story, one of LaBeouf's exes, Carolyn Foe, claimed that she had been through similarly terrible experiences with the actor. LaBeouf initially denied the accusations, telling The Times, "Many of these allegations are not true," but he later seemed to change his tune on Jon Bernthal's podcast, saying, "I hurt that woman. I f***ed up bad, like crash and burn type." He also said that by outing him, FKA Twigs saved my life, and that he planned to serve as a role model for principled living moving forward, which remains to be seen. One of the most disturbing facets of FKA Twigs' long list of allegations against LaBeouf was his violent behavior toward animals. During the period of time that they were living together, LaBeouf began preparing for his role in The Tax Collector. Part of his preparation involved buying a real gun, which he kept loaded right by his side of the bed every night. FKA Twigs said she was so afraid that he would end up shooting her that she began to leave little clues for her manager so they would be able to figure out what happened if he killed her. Beyond her fears for her own safety, FKA Twigs also claimed that LaBeouf was using this gun to shoot stray dogs. This was something that she said he did repeatedly and was proud of as part of his method acting approach to his role in The Tax Collector. FKA Twigs told Elle that she confronted him about the dog killing. "I said to him, 'That's really bad. Why are you doing that?' And he was like, 'Because I take my art seriously. You're not supporting me in my art. This is what I do. I'm in the character.'" If you or someone you know is dealing with domestic abuse, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. You can also find more information, resources, and support at their website.